All right, at this time we have a public hearing on ordinance 1203 and ordinance amending chapter 22, subdivision and land development of the codified ordinances, amending submission deadlines, the number of printed submissions, and administrative details for final approval of submitted plans. We had first reading back in July, and second reading will be tonight during our council meeting. For attendance, all council members are present, the mayor, borough manager, and solicitor, along with Councilwoman Baumgartner by Zoom.
And Mr. Hoffman. Jonas is also on Zoom.
And our junior councilman, Jonas Hosman, is by Zoom also. At this time, I will turn it over to the solicitor, and he will explain what we're doing here and ask for public comment and council comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. Initially, because this is an amendment to the subdivision and land development ordinance, it is governed by the municipality's planning code. For a change to Saldo, your subdivision and land development ordinance, before you can do so, you must have a public hearing on the issues that are being changed. Just so that I know there's very few people in the public tonight, but nevertheless, I just will go over it very briefly. The idea of this ordinance, and it's relatively short, as you can see, is to update sections of the Saldo, mostly procedurally and administratively. Deals with sketch plans. It deals with importantly, it deals with the requirement that they file both paper and electronic copies of the plans now. Goes through that sets time frame before that they can get on the agenda for the planning commission of at least 15 days, that the documents must be filed in advance. It also sets forth the number of prints for the final plans, and basically cleans up the process. So with that, I would ask if any members of the public have any questions or input on the proposed amendment to the borough's subdivision and land development ordinance.
We have one member of the public, and I think he's from the press. That's it. There's nobody else on this meeting.
So there is no response. Does anyone on council have any questions of this? It's fairly straightforward.
Just more of a statement. It's just this is to make things flow more on a timely basis, because the deadline was so short that sometimes things weren't able to get done the proper way. Or I shouldn't say it that way. They had a rush to get it done, basically.
Well, and I think that by extending this to 15 days, I think one of the things it's going to do is it's actually going to make it less expensive for the developer themselves, because when it comes down to it, the engineers only are having 3 or 4 days to really review this by the time it gets in their hands. And these more complicated reviews, so they're doing I don't want to say that they're half-witting it, but they're doing what they can in that time frame. And then what happens is the developer goes and corrects those things. And what we're seeing a lot of times is, once it comes back to the engineer to review again, he's finding things that he may not have found the first time. So this gives him, a full extra week to look at the plan in detail and give the developer the opportunity to look at everything more in detail. And then, in my opinion, the engineer doesn't have an excuse to find additional things that he missed the first time. But we see that more often than not, and really it comes down to not because they're not doing their job, but because we're giving them full-scale developments on 100 homes to look at, and we want it back to us in 5 days so they can have a planning meeting. It's impossible when they have other things to do. So this gives them a fair amount of time to be able to do their work. It also gives us, our planning commission would like to start doing their process through Granicus as well. They like, the police visiting them with these big packets of information about as much as you guys do. So most of them are technologically skilled. and would rather see this thing on an electronic platform rather than, you know, these big 30-page maps that take up a lot of space and a lot of print and paper. So this takes care of all that for them as well.
With that, as was in sum, this is an administrative and procedural changes to make the system work and flow better. And with that, we will conclude the hearing, and I'll turn it back over to Council President.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn from the public hearing? Councilman Dufresne, second by Councilman Valiant. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All saying no. There are 7 ayes. Public hearing adjourned at 7:06. Switch your iPad over to our council. At this time, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Middlesbrough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag.
United
States of America.
to the republic for
For which it stands.
one
One
nation,
nation.
under God,
God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, personal appeals part 2. Does our press have a personal appeal? All right.
We do have one person
have
that just
one that
entered.
joined
So I'll ask them to unmute if they have an appeal. They can unmute themselves.
All right,
And
we have one person on Zoom. If you like to make a public appeal, please just speak up and state your name and where you're from, and you have 5 minutes. Hearing none, we'll move on to community minutes. Does anybody have a community minute to bring forward? Councilman Anderson.
Yes, on Saturday, October 10th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Emmaus Community Park, the Emmaus Lions Club, Duck Waddle. They have an event down there. They'll have some food and some entertainment, and it looks like duck racing, white team duck contest. So it's a neat little event.
Live ducks?
Park. What's that?
Live ducks.
No, rubber ducks.
Oh, they're going down the creek.
That's what it
Or
looks
creek.
like, yes. Yes.
I'm going to cover both before somebody else points it out.
So the green flag for the race drops at 2:45. And I'll report progress.
Thank you. Anybody else with the community minute?
I do want to point out that if you look outside on the billboard, that it says "Happy 50th Birthday, Roy Anders."
Half century.
Half century, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds a little older that way. Half century. That's something you read in novels. Half century.
I'll say yes.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you, Shane.
As Shane got to spend his 40th, you get to spend your 50th.
That's
So
right.
with the councilman.
We're with that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on with no special presentation. So we'll move on to the reading of the minutes, council meeting minutes from September 21st. So anybody have a motion to approve the minutes? Councilman Hart, second by Councilman Anders. Any questions or discussions or corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. Communications. We had two applicants for Joint Environmental Advisory Council, an Ashland Bear and a Carl Hertwig. Have they been interviewed yet?
No.
All right, so they'll be entered. What committee would handle that?
Mr. Bowie's committee.
All right, we'll send them to them, set up some interviews. Board of Health volunteer application, I got Carl Hertwig also applying for that.
Same committee.
Same committee, okay. Safety committee? Oh, that would be under safety committee. We'll
Board,
send
no,
that-
board of health. No, that's health, sanitation, and codes.
Okay. We'll send it to Councilman
Right,
Valley
okay.
then. All right, and then we received a nice thank you letter from Allentown Fire Department, 1st Platoon. I think I'm gonna read it. It's not that long, but it's rather nice. Dear Chief Price, I am writing to you on behalf of the Emmaus Fire Department First platoon, in order to express my thanks for the mutual aid response your organization provided to us at 440 Harrison Street on September 17th. This is in Allentown, at Harrison Street anyways. The fire on Harrison Street was difficult to say the least. It was well involved on arrival and clearly extending into the adjoining structures, with six attack lines operating, 4 of which were interior. Our on-duty resources were being rapidly deleted. With all on-scene firefighters making repeated entries, it was imperative to get some relief quickly. Your crew's timely response to our request was a significant factor in ultimately controlling the fire. On arrival, Lieutenant Donald Riley, 3rd Lieutenant Thomas Carl, and firefighter Christopher Lucan quickly demonstrated they were there to help. With minor instruction, they rapidly went to work to complete their assignments. By all accounts, they adroitly performed their task until completed or appropriately relieved. Working in coordination with my firefighters, they were instrumental in preventing additional extension and ultimately assisted with extinguishing the fire. Please extend my sincere thanks to Lieutenant Riley, Lieutenant Carl, and firefighter Lubinetsky for their hard work and professionalism. They are a credit to your organization, and you are fortunate to have them in your ranks. Thank you, Christian Williams, Battalion Chief. I just thought that was worthy of reading because it speaks highly of our fire department. I have no other communications. Does anybody have anything to bring forward? Hearing none. Borough Engineers report, we have nothing. Solicitors report.
Very briefly, we're looking for a settlement to be next Thursday or Friday, potential of Wednesday on the old Rodale building, the 33 and the 10 Minor Street structures. There was a lot of little paperwork that had to be cleaned up, and the council president will have some fun signing all of those documents that I have prepared. But I'm trying to get it done in advance so that we have all the issues worked out, and all we have to do is fill out the HUD 1, sign the affidavits, and get the money, exchange the deeds. Right now, everything seems to be under control. The only other thing is I had completed a lease at the request of the manager for the Lehigh Valley Martial Arts Inc. Academy Inc. and it's for parking spaces. I don't know whether it'll be going to committee or further review, or it'll just appear on your agenda. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. That leads us to unfinished business part 1. We had a public hearing this prior to the meeting on ordinance number 1203, an ordinance amending chapter 22, subdivision and land development of codified ordinances, amending submission deadlines, number of permit submissions, and administrative details for final approval of submitted plans. We had our first reading July 20th, and we are having our second reading tonight. It was properly advertised. Would somebody like to make a motion to pass ordinance 1203? Councilman Dolly, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any discussion? All right, this is a roll call vote. Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Andrews? Aye. Councilman Valiant?
Aye.
Councilman Hart?
Aye.
Councilman Lindbergh? Aye. Councilman DeFrame? Aye. There's 7 ayes. Motion ordinance passes. Under new business, we have nothing. Unfinished business part 2, we have nothing. Does anybody have anything to bring forward on items not on the agenda? Hearing none, mayor's report.
Thank you. In your items this evening is proclamation 2020-495, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October 2020. Whereas October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual campaign to increase awareness of this disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month remains dedicated to increasing public knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer, diagnosis, and treatment. And whereas during this month we reaffirm our commitment to support breast cancer research and to educate all citizens about its risk factors, detection, and treatment. And whereas this October we recognize breast cancer survivors, those battling the disease, their families, and friends, who are a tireless source of love and encouragement, and applaud the efforts of medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite our citizens in our community to prevent breast cancer deaths through increased education and regular screening. Now, therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor of the Borough of Ordinance, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And this 5th day of October 2020, Borough of Ordinance will have a report progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I see you got your October
I
pink
have
one.
my October pink gator, and if anyone wants one, come see me at the police department.
Nice. All right, committee reports. Public Works Committee Chairman Anders.
Yeah, so I do not have something for official action, but I do have something that I should share with, council. And I think that
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me know if I'm not speaking loud enough.
You can use that mic there on the table.
Yep.
So this is.
Push a button.
So these are items that were left in the compost site. Our machine has been broken again. Our residents or whoever went to take compost left in many things such as bricks, spikes, you name it. It broke the machine, $6,000 to $10,000 to work shape.
15.
15 is up to now. Almost $15,000 to fix the equipment. That is on us. It's a multi-use equipment that other municipalities use. This happened on our time, on our dime. And our residents, this is why we ask the residents to please go through their things and not put in different things like bricks, metal, all that type of things. Earlier this year, people said, why do you have it closed? Because we didn't have an attendant there. This is what happens when we leave it unattended. So at committee level, at council level, we need to discuss what we can do at our compost to prevent this from happening in the future. So we will, again, refresh, you can see what occurred. I would say if any of our residents knows who dumped some of this material, please let us know. We would appreciate that. And any questions from council on it?
No, that's so disheartening considering we just had it fixed. It's so disheartening.
How is the presence of public works during this one?
Well, we're gonna have to discuss that again.
Level, but I mean, having someone who is there a little bit more on top of it, this could be on the days that no one's there, it could be there, someone is there, I mean.
They're supposed to be inspecting the loads as they come in. That's their job. Whether or not they're doing it is another conversation. But I can tell you, while I was at the fire and ambulance picnic on Saturday, there were probably about 60 cars that passed through. I guarantee you that there were things that were dumped on Saturday that weren't supposed to be dumped there. You know, and again, when you're loading that machine with a scooper, you cannot go through every single square inch of it, but that's a direct result of the people from this community. You know, somebody from this community did that, and it's going to cost our taxpayers on top of the $45,000 we just spent repairing this thing. That's another 15 right there. That is the entire salary of a full-time employee. Twice this year, that machine's been broken.
So we have some, we obviously have to work with John, we have to figure out some solutions. So we will be discussing it. My meeting is on October 14th, so next Borough Council. If there's any other comments, our progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee Chairman Valiant.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, I'm looking to present council with Jeff Stringer's project, our works department. He needs to apply for sewer permit with the DEP. So I'd like to put that question for us to allow him to apply for that.
All right, there's a motion to approve resolution 2020-34. Is there a second? Councilwoman McManaman, any discussion? Councilman Anders?
Just one question. I do see like certain things have materials required in the accident checklist. Are any of those other items things that people have to do or need where they can submit this change?
So that's not a question I can answer. This was all reviewed by the engineer.
So we're, okay.
Yeah, this was recommended from our engineers to have this adopted. And just so you know, the reviewing engineer was not consulting. The reviewing engineer was Brad Youst and Hanover Engineering.
Thank you.
Yeah, they usually handle the sewer issues, correct?
Well, they handled the entire project because consulting is
Oh, so
is directly involved. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Our next meeting is going to be October 20th at 4:30. With that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have not met since our last council meeting, so there's no updates there, but I do want to remind everyone that October 13th at 7 p.m. there will be a meeting for the comprehensive parks and trails study to get input on any improvements desired for Borough Line and Lions Field. So if anybody has ideas or knows somebody who might need to be part of that conversation, please make sure that you invite them. We do have a link to the meeting available on the borough calendar. So with that, I will say our next meeting is actually tomorrow, October 6th at 4:45 p.m. via Zoom. All are welcome. And with that, I report progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Safety Committee as well did not since our last council meeting. Unless there are questions. For the next meeting, scheduled for October 12th, 9 to Zoom. Report progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee is myself. Our next meeting is this Thursday, October 8th at 9 a.m. via Zoom. Progress. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman DeFrank.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we have a couple of items here. The first is the 2021 minimum municipal obligation for the pension plan. So I'd like to put this in the form of a motion that we adopt the minimum contribution for the police pension plan of $608,119.65, and the minimum obligation for the employee pension plan of $559,274.58.
There's a motion by Councilman DeFrank. Is there a second? Councilman Hart. I just want to point out that it is not down to the dollar, but about $120,000 more this year for police, and I think it was 7,000 more for non-uniform. So that will be an addition to our budget that we knew was coming, but we never knew the exact amount. So with that being said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Due to significant revenue and expenses. And then we also have for action tonight, resolution 2020-35. It's the bill list for October 5th, 2020. Bill list is $220,822.91. Payroll number 20 is $156,498.42. Payroll taxes are $50,742.24 for a total of $428,063.57. But that's form of motion.
There's a motion to pass resolution 2020-35, the bill list. Is there a second? Councilman DeFrank. I just want to point out that.
No, that he made the motion. It was.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Hart seconded. Sorry. I just want to note that I noticed the bills are on the, for this borough, on the smaller side, and I know it's because we've been watching our budget, and I just wanted to point it out that I noticed that, and hopefully it helps us at budget time, so. Anybody else? Councilman Anderson?
One question, Donald Drive sewer main, I thought we were finished with that.
Yeah, so they had a little bit of cleanup, so we retained our 10%. That's the final payout of the 10% that we had to release to them.
Did we use every penny of the budget, or did we,
Yeah, every penny of the budget plus some,
Okay.
probably.
well, hopefully it's good for a long time.
That was an expensive
Yeah.
fix. I mean, it's not like you had to do it. The whole thing washed out and caved in, but that hurt because that's one of those where you don't, like any other sewer project, you don't see the repair. And the fact that it washed out over the side of a large hill, you didn't even see the road get ripped up for it because it's down over the side of the mountain. But yeah, it was definitely expensive.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 7 ayes.
And then last thing is our next meeting is Thursday, October 8th at 11 a.m. via Zoom. Progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development, Chairwoman McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have nothing for official actions. Our next meeting is Monday, October 12th, via Zoom at 4 p.m.
Junior Council Member Hausman, time for your report. We'll unmute you.
Okay. As of now, school will be back into hybrid schedule at the end of October, though whether or not we are actually going back in has not been specifically confirmed as to it is believed that we're going back into, but we're not 100% sure that we are. And SAT and PSATs took place at the school on Saturday. And over the past few weeks, I've been working with Councilman Baumgartner and Shane Pepe to revise and submit the Home Run for the Trees grant application. And with that, I report progress.
Finished. You have 2 sets of boards and commissions. Meeting notes. The civil service, I read those notes. They're going along with trying to move along the process for hiring police officers and promotions also. With that being said, personal appeals part 2. Does our reporter have an appeal? Hearing none. Borough manager's report. Is there?
There is that one person online.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Well,
yeah, I did. She didn't unmute. So.
All right, then we'll move to the borough manager's
report. Okay. So several items for you. First of all, I was able to submit the application for the multimodal grant. That's a $2 million project. Hopefully we can get it. We'll also submit for the PennDOT piece of it that is due at the beginning of November. Hopefully we'll get one of the 2. We also applied for the county COVID-19 assistance grant. That's we're eligible for up to, Madam Mayor, 185,000, I think, 189,000, somewhere in there. So that's money that we're pretty much guaranteed to have. It was passed down to the county and the municipalities through the state. The only question is there was some ambiguous language in the directions from the county, and I pointed that out to them. So I asked that we followed the directions of the guidelines. However, the letter that they sent accompanying the guidelines it was contradictive to what the guidelines were. So I asked that if, once they figure it out, because I did speak to 2 people at the county and they talked circles around it because I'm not sure that it was clear for them. But I asked that once they figure that out, if for some reason the $900,000 of expenses I sent to them, that just because I know how it goes, I don't want to get dollared to death. But if they found that anything was ineligible, we would want to know and give us the opportunity to correct that. If it's for future expenses, we did add in, the cost to have this meeting room set up so that we can continue to do the online platform, because we know that obviously the sound and video is an issue. But we should be able to get that money in some way, shape, or form. Okay. One of the things was simple paying utilities and loans was on the guidelines, but that's not what their letter said. Their letter said that it was directly affected, COVID related expenses. So that's why I asked, like, give me some clarification, because I can give you one bill that I paid, or I have to itemize, 600 line items. Either way, we'll give them, the appropriate information. The other thing with Ms. Baumgartner talking about the park study, this is our plea to the public. Our study meetings have been very lightly attended, and at this point, the entire intention of the study is for community input and public community meetings. And I know that not being able to physically go to a location has definitely put a hamper on things. However, I can tell you at this point, 100% of the input that has come has been through council members or myself at these meetings. That is not what our intention is for this study. We really need the public to participate, to do their best to show up. Now, we have had a pretty positive response on the online survey, but I've got to tell you, I got more response so far in the streetlight survey than I did the entire master park study, like twice the response. So, we're really hoping that, members of the public get interested. We're trying to figure out some other creative ways. Mr. Balliot, for example, later this week is going to go door to door over in the neighborhoods of Burrowline Park and Lions Playground, and he's going to deliver the flyers to invite the people from the neighborhood to join into the meetings, and hopefully that'll generate some interest, because it's important that the people in those neighborhoods participate in those meetings. Otherwise, again, we won't be paying a consultant the money that we're paying, even though it's funded by grant money, but we won't be paying this amount of money if all the ideas are going to come from us in this room. We could have done that for free, and just shoved whatever through. That's not the idea behind something like this. And we really encourage the members of the community to get involved in it, because it is going to shape the future of recreation in the borough. So if you have family members, friends, neighbors that really are interested in the recreation, the parks, the trails, and even the pool in the community, we encourage you to try to get them to participate. I think the key to success for this thing is community buy-in. And again, this is uncharted territory, with doing everything online. But, we've seen more people on our online platform at the council meetings, and not tonight, but in most cases, than what we've ever seen in this room, unless somebody was mad. So, we know that people in this community are interested in what's going on. We just need to get them, into those meetings. So we would ask that, you yourself as council members, we invite you to participate as well. You don't have to say anything. You can sit there and listen, take the survey, encourage your neighbors to take the survey. That input is important. I know Ms. Baumgartner has been bouncing ideas off of this, the consultant, and so has the rest of the Park and Recreation Committee member. But it is so far, it's been very lightly attended, and it's a little frustrating, I think, that
Shane, do you think maybe sending out a robocall to get,
so we've done that.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, we've done that,
But was
and we
it
will
just
again.
specifically one item, or was it lumped in with?
No, there were two items on it. One was a census. The entire rest of it was the study. We know that it's getting hits, when we're posting it on social media. But we just need to get people to get in there and participate. And we need to find other ways to market it too. I mean, that's the other part of this is hopefully the door-to-door piece that Mr. Balliot, is going to do in the neighborhood. Hopefully that's going to generate interest in those neighborhoods. But it's an important part of the future. So we need to make sure that we get that participation. Last thing is the budget. 2 weeks from today will be submitted to you in the same electronic format it has been for the last several years. Right prior to the council meeting, I will hit the publish button, and it will have all the fun stuff. And then on, I think it's the 27th, I think is your first budget workshop where the department managers will present to you. As always, I would tell you to read the budget message first. And the way to pick that entire thing apart is, I have themes for each for each workshop meeting. And I would suggest you to read those sections before each one of the meetings. That way it's not the mastodon that it looks like, but you can segment it as much as you can. It's definitely going to be a big set of documents. Budget and finance on Thursday. We have some significant discussions to talk about with our fiscal recovery plan, especially in how that's going to look when that's presented. Other than that, I will report progress so we can go watch Monday Night Football.
2 games.
2 games.
A lot of negativity going on right now, and I just want everyone to say, be happy, stay happy, do things that make you happy, especially with your family. And with that being said, motion to adjourn. Councilman DeFrane, seconded by Councilman Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Meeting adjourned at 7:37.
Stop.
Any questions?